Hey everybody, this is James from TeaDB.
And this is Denny, bringing you guys episode 257. You'll have to excuse our eruptive episode last time. Sorry about that, but hey, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah.
So
you gotta pay those bills, you know.
So today, James, we're doing a white tea. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah. So this is called. Well, this is an experimental white. It's literally what it says here. It's in Pinglin, Taiwan. So Pinglin is a place that's usually known. It's known for growing a lot of teas. Baojong is probably one of the most notable there. And it's brought to us by Everlasting Teas by Sammy over there, who is a really nice guy. I met him in Taiwan. Everlasting Teas, mainly Taiwanese teas. So I think the farmer that he normally works with wanted to do a little bit of experimentation, and so had this white tea. And to be honest, I brewed this before once, and the parameters are still kind of, I don't know, they're hard for me to gauge because white tea is not something I normally do.
Yeah, fair enough.
So we will see how this turns out.
And this tea, if you just take a look at the dry leaf, has quite a bit of variance in terms of the structure of the leaves.
Yeah.
A lot of young white buds, which is what you would typically see in a silver needle, something that's kind of a classical white tea.
Right.
But also some sort of drier, less fluffy, more crisp leaves that you might see from something like a wild-picked white tea.
Right.
So we're seeing a little bit of a balance of that in the cup here. Has a great aroma as well so far.
So a more delicate white tea, you'd want to treat that a little more gently in your brewing. Is that right, Denny?
Yeah. And, well, I have never had this before, and we'll give it a shot. I filled up the guy one probably about halfway of full. Not doing a completely flash steep because we do want to get, I did a rinse, but we do want to get into this tea a little bit more quickly than some of the other teas like a rolled oolong or a pu'erh tea. So these teas tend not to have quite as much longevity. We're going to kind of try to push it, get it going first thing, and maybe do 3 or 4 steepings if we can. So let's give it a shot.
Steep number 1 here, and we are drinking this, isn't that right?
Of course. And so I did do a quick rinse just to sort of push us a little bit more quickly into this tea. You could probably drink the rinse on this if you wanted to, or not have it be a rinse. The color is quite kind of classic. And, do you want to give this a smell? I think characteristic...
Yeah, really characteristic.
Yeah, and so characteristic smells and flavors of white teas tend to be that they're quite floral, honeysuckle. This has like a kind of a wonderful, crisp sort of smell to it as well.
Yeah, and it's not exactly like a silver needle.
Most definitely not.
But
you can see the brown oxidation on the leaves.
So it makes you think that we don't need to be super gentle with this tea.
Yeah.
Not that we should overbrew it or anything.
It's really interesting. Here, cheers.
Cheers. Really nice white tea texture.
Yeah.
Pretty light on flavor. But that's kind of what you expect for a white tea, I think.
A lot of it is about the sweetness, about the velvety texture. I'm getting a little bit of sort of, I wouldn't call it, it wouldn't be as juicy as some of the oolongs that we've had on the show or some other pu'erhs that we've had on the show, but like a nice lasting flavor. This isn't one of those like really full body teas per se, and I don't want to overdo it, but just to white teas in particular are sometimes some of the hardest teas to brew because you want to have them be potent enough, not bitter, get the temperature right, and whereas some of those like maybe just char-boiled roasted oolongs can kind of take anything you throw at it.
Right. Yeah. So,
yeah,
in that sense, this is
I was gonna say I probably
it's not necessarily an everyday brew for either of us.
Right.
So it looks like
beautiful color.
Pretty solid yellow, fairly transparent color.
Yeah. Leaf size, I'd say small, but Whereas some of the white teas tend to just be the top most leaves, and they tend therefore the youngest leaves that tend therefore to be a little bit thinner and longer.
Yeah,
he's a little bit wide. I say that this is more of a slightly more oxidized white tea than I've seen typically. And I think I don't know. I do get a little bit of that kind of like Oriental Beauty smell out of it too. Not like a super strong amount of that, but sort of something a little bit more of those like little bit of those sort of comfortable baking spice kind of vibes.
Yeah, and that some of that sweetness and texture too.
Yeah.
I think could be put in that category.
Cheers. Viscosity is great. It's almost a little bit salty. It's light. It's a little bit floral. There's no obvious characteristics of this tea, I'd say, that are just sort of like overpowering any of it.
Right.
I think it's just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's a little bit of a honey sweetness. It's warming.
It's leaving a nice sweet honey feel on my mouth. Yeah, really refreshing tea. I think a tea like this would do extremely well on the mom test.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. Yeah, this is spring 2017, so I bet this had an even fresher taste if we had this about a year ago.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Still pretty good, but I would guess that there might be a little bit more freshness and complexity to it if we had it a little bit sooner.
And this is one of those teas where you do want to get it kind of in the cup as quickly as you possibly can. I mean, we have had some aged white teas on the show, but they're a little bit funky. It's a unique category. I think most white teas would benefit just from being sort of drank as quickly as possible, like your green teas.
Right. And there are some exceptions to that sort of rule, of course, but I do tend to agree with Denny. It's like this probably would have been better at least half a year ago.
Right.
Not that it's bad tasting now at all. So
No,
in fact, it doesn't taste stale. But I would not wait another year or two for this.
Yeah, the aroma. There's something a little bit hard to place in the aroma that's nice.
And how long would you expect this to steep out for, Denny?
Gosh, I think this would probably be the last steeping that would be like just a great one, and then it would. I think we'll see even in this steeping that we're going to be that some flavors are going to be changing a little bit here.
Right.
And then this is something where you throw it in a thermos, an insulated thermos for a while, or 5 minutes, and then brew it out.
So. Up to this, we've been using under boiling water, but
Correct.
For maybe the next brew, if you did really want to get everything you could out of the tea, you'd want to crank up that temperature.
Potentially, yeah. Or I would actually probably prefer to add just a little bit of heat and then much longer brew time.
I see.
I think that scalding these teas can be, well, they can get a little bit sharper with high heat. So I would prefer for a white tea or a black tea, or even a green jade oolong tea, to just extend the steep time and see how it goes. And then if that doesn't really get me there, then add the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, cheers.
Cheers.
There's just a hint of some of those sort of baking spice vibes, maybe a little bit of like a gingeriness to it. Just a hint of it, just like a little bit, adding a little bit of complexity to this tea. Otherwise, I think it's kind of the classic white tea.
Right.
Sweet, a little bit fresh, a little bit floral, a little bit honey vibes.
Right. So this tea, unlike the wooey black tea we brought on a couple times ago, which was kind of strange and a little bit difficult to place, this is an experimental white, but I think it fits pretty firmly into that white tea category.
Yeah.
So like their processing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If they're not used to processing that way, I think they processed it pretty accurately.
Yeah, definitely. This is a kind of down the line white tea that is delicious, good to drink quickly. I think your friends, your mom, they're going to love this tea. Really accessible. I think James and I probably, at this point in our sort of tea drinking careers, excuse me, we like a lot of weird novelty. This isn't a novel tea.
Yeah.
In that regard, and that doesn't mean anything about its quality. It just means that this is sort of right down the center in terms of this category, which is good. If you want to just have that familiar white tea flavor, would be a great tea to go and grab.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and so James, if folks wanted to grab this tea in particular,
go check out Everlasting Teas. I think Denny and I both recommend checking out their other teas, which are mainly oolongs and blacks. They also have some aged oolongs that I think are pretty delicious.
Yeah.
So check those guys out. They're based over in New York,
right.
But last I checked, Sammy was making the trip to Taiwan every year.
Awesome.
So, shoot him an email, see what he has in stock. I think we both recommend their teas.
Absolutely. And the cool thing about small vendors like Sammy and other shops is that if you send them an email and write them something about your experience and what you like and what you've tried so far, you're going to get some awesome feedback.
Yeah.
And it's such a special thing to receive that, and it's also such a wonderful thing to be able to do, to give personalized recommendations. So definitely shoot Sammy an email.
Absolutely.
Make a personal connection. Check him out at everlastingteas.co. Excuse us. And if you folks want to learn more about just teas in general, check us out, TeaDB.org. Subscribe down below for our weekly show, as well as in between episodes, and go to the blog, TeaDB.org, for tons of written content, our newsletter links, and all of the things.
Yep.
Cool. Comment, subscribe, do all the things.
Hit that thumbs up button.
Send it to your mom, of course. Always send the show to your mom. And
we do a very bad job of that. I checked our demographics the other day, and they're 95% male. So what are you guys doing? Send it to your mother.
All of those male moms out there.
Yeah.
Damn it. All right. Well, with that, we'll see you guys next time.